So hopefully there are lots of goodies in your garden, and we're gonna look at some ways to save them throughout the year. One way is through drying. We're gonna dry peppers and herbs today. We're gonna start with the hot peppers. I have auroras and habaneros that I picked earlier this morning. Notice that I left a little bit of stem on those because we're gonna use some sewing skills to string these up to hang them up to dry. So in this case, I used embroidery floss to sew my peppers up, but you don't have to use embroidery floss. You can use regular thread, or this is, I don't even know exactly what this is, some type of twine that I found on a big spool at a thrift store, and that would also work. So for the peppers, I just want to make sure that they're spaced out on the string. So I'm just going to tie a knot here so they don't slide down too far and bump into each other while they're drying out. And then I'm going to take a pepper. I'm just going to use the needle to sew right through the stem and slide it down to the knot. And then when I have this loaded up, and I may do several strings of peppers, I'll hang them up here in my kitchen to dry, or you can hang them outside or in your garage. So here's a quick tip if you're dealing with very hot peppers that you're stringing up. I do have a couple of habaneros here, and I don't even want to touch these. They scare me that much. And I don't want to get those oils on my hands that come from the pepper and then accidentally touch my eyes. That would be a bummer of a day. So I just took a Ziploc bag because I don't even have any plastic gloves, and then I'm going to sew the pepper without touching it. So I'm just going to come in here and clip off some branches. Oh, that smells good. So, and I'm going to clip off the flower heads on this basil if I didn't pinch it off before, because as these dry, these little pieces will fall to the ground, and I don't want that too messy. I'm also going to shake this really good and maybe spray it off a little bit. Oftentimes basil has critters like little spiders, and if you do this later in the day when it's a little bit warmer, you can accidentally bring a bee inside, and we don't want to do that. So we're going to make sure that we don't have critters on there. And for the basil, I'm going to use, sometimes I use a rubber band, but I have a daughter, so I have tons of these things hanging around the house that she doesn't use anymore. So I'm just going to take a hair band, an elastic, a rubber band, and I'm going to bunch it up like this and just use a band to secure it all together in one bunch. Then to hang it, there are a couple of different ways to do it. I usually just look in a closet and find a hanger, and you can clip the basil to a hanger. You can use a paper clip and do kind of the same thing. You can take the paper clip on the elastic and then put that on the hanger. And you're going to hang this up to dry. I like to do it inside. Some people do it in the garage. And it depends on humidity in your house and heat, but I find it takes between 2 and 3 weeks before the leaves are kind of crunchy. Now, what's pretty good about basil is these leaves generally do not fall off during the drying process, so it's not a messy thing to dry in your kitchen or in your house. But once those leaves are crunchy, you'll want to store them so you can use them in recipes. And there's a couple different ways that you can do that. I take the leaves off and I crunch them up inside of a Ziploc bag, and then I'll use these throughout the year. Or you can also put it in a jar. There was a lavender picking earlier this year, but many lavender plants have a second bloom that's going on right now, so you have another opportunity to dry this. If you want to dry it for decorative purposes, when you cut these stems down close to the plant, bunch them together. I treat this a little differently because, as you notice, that lavender, the little buds fall off, so it's a pretty messy herb to dry. So I'm going to bunch it up. Again, I'm going to use either a rubber band or an elastic that my daughter left laying around the house. And then I'm going to take a bag gonna put it inside a paper bag so I can catch all those lavender buds in case I'm gonna make sachets or use that for something later. And then I'll, again, use a hanger, and I might just put it on a hanger like this. I'll put it in my garage or my shed or maybe in the kitchen. Lavender takes a little longer to dry. I would just keep checking it carefully, maybe about a month.